This is the moment we've all been waiting for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Let's get ready to rumble!
So the Cleveland Cavaliers, they defeat the Miami Heat after what was a little bit of a rock fight at times. They score 112 points. That's pretty low for the Cavs nowadays. You know, they're usually putting up 120, 130 even on the off nights, but they end up beating the Miami Heat 112 to 107. At one point in the game, they led by 17 points, but the Cavs nearly blew a lead, hung on at the end up getting the win by executing in the clutch, even though there were some questionable decisions down the stretch. But nonetheless, they clinch a playoff spot before daylight savings time. As we said, daylight savings times, the clock hasn't even gone back yet, and the Cavs have already clinched a playoff spot. It's been a pretty amazing season. This game won't go on the highlight reel probably, but Corey, instant reactions, instant thoughts, Cavs Heat, what do you got?
Another example of how the Cavs cannot necessarily start games off well, but as the game goes on, it feels like they kind of correct themselves throughout. I mean, in this game, it was a little more of subtle changes throughout the game. There wasn't ever really a stretch outside of, I believe, around the third quarter where the Cavs had a double-digit lead offensively, but it kind of crumbled. And instead of some teams would just ship it in at that point. I mean, the Cavs have every right to. It feels like when you're riding the stretches that they're on, one loss really isn't going to do a lot. And we talked about it on the stream. I don't know if this team was really circling their calendar, being like, we really need to clinch this game. Like they didn't feel like the motivation was there, but they had showed how to adapt to what Miami was throwing at them. There were instances where they were really struggling with the zone. And as we saw in the last 5 minutes, they were picking apart the zone on almost every possession, whether it was DeAndre Hunter. Max Strus was playing really well towards the end of the game. Mobley had some good stretches, and there were some weird turnovers by Mitchell near the end, which we highlighted, but they are more blips than detrimental blows to the team. So I think there's little things you can take away, even if they ended up losing this game. I wouldn't say this is something that you're going to be kind of using against them in your postseason predictions, but good teams win even when it's ugly. And the Cavs once again have won an ugly one. And we're on a stretch of 3 games where that seems to be the case.
Yeah, 3 straight, relatively ugly wins on a overall streak of 12 straight wins overall. You mentioned the zone tonight. So Miami played a bunch of zone defense. It's kind of an Eric Spoelstra staple at this point. And throughout the game, it gave the Cavs a decent amount of troubles. Like I said, 112 points. Last year, we would have taken 112 and been happy, right? Like we would have been giving out free French fries and everything. Now, an arena scores, you got to hit 120 to give away the free French fries because this Cavs team, Kenny Atkinson, has them scoring the ball like crazy. So 112 for this era of the Cavs. They kind of, shout out to Miami. They played really good defense tonight. They were scrambling. They didn't give up many open threes. And one of the main things that I hear people talk about when they give Kenny Atkinson a lot of credit is his adaptability and his ability to adjust on the fly. And I think we saw that in this game against the zone. You mentioned it down the stretch. They just picked apart that zone, having Donovan Mitchell flash to the top and especially DeAndre Hunter come up to the free throw line, get the ball right in the middle there and either shoot the floater or throw a lob to Evan Mobley, which we haven't seen him really throw many assists so far in his Cleveland career. He had 2 tonight. So that was awesome to see. I thought DeAndre Hunter overall, even though he shot 0 of 4 from the 3-point line, he was a team high plus 18. He scored 16 points. He shot 6 of 12 from the floor. Again, just getting to the middle of the zone, he really wreaked havoc there. And you mentioned it, winning ugly. The good teams win ugly. For most of this game, the Cavs were shooting about 30% from the 3-point line. They finished the night shooting 35%, and it's because they hit 3 straight threes in the closing minutes. Max Strus hitting 2 of them. And just the Cavs, again, picking apart the zone and getting open looks down the stretch of the game. It was the difference maker. You mentioned Donovan Mitchell, some questionable turnovers. Overall, 26 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. He did have the 5 turnovers, but what did you think of the game from Mitchell and Garland, who finished with 15 points, 10 assists?
I thought it was a performance we've come to expect from both the guards. I think Garland had a fairly average game for what we've seen from him. And that's not saying that it was a bad game. I think Garland's just been the model of consistency for the Cavs over this season. And Mitchell had a good statistical game. I think he really helped buoy the Cavs when they were necessarily struggling. I was disappointed in the closing minutes of Mitchell with his decision making. Tony hit on this a lot during the end of the stream, that it felt like at times the Cavs were overthinking it or trying to get too cute with what they were trying to do to close possessions, whether it was Mitchell not taking the open man and instead trying to create something out of nothing. The Mobley pass around the restricted area was not necessarily a bad decision, but it obviously had too much sauce on it. Mobley could not handle it at the speed, but there was also easier options out there than trying to force it over a double to feed Mobley into the post. And then towards the end of the game, Miami was looking to foul. Mitchell was kind of dribbling with the ball a little loosely, and Kyle Anderson was able to pick it out of there. So those are two things that if they lost, you could kind of point to that's the reason why they lost. But the fact of the matter is the Cavs didn't lose. They were able to overcome those. And that's what good teams do. They can overcome small mistakes down the stretch because they can rely on the defensive end or the offensive end, whatever is necessary at the given time.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said right there. I feel like mentally, the Cavs just were not completely locked in the way that they normally are. My AirPods just died in the middle of that sentence. So I think, yeah, I'm still coming out the right mic. We'll wrap this up quick then. But the Cavs, mentally, they didn't look like they were fully locked in. They made a lot of errors down the stretch of the game, as we've said a few times. Bam Adebayo, the onomatopoeia, as people are calling him, 34 points. 34 points, 12 rebounds. He hit 3 threes tonight. So Miami, they shot pretty well overall throughout the game, and they were playing very good defense. The Cavs, there's a couple more things that I want to hit on before we wrap up. I mentioned DeAndre Hunter had the 16 points off the bench, but the reason why they're so strong, even on off nights, even when they aren't playing that great, is they have so much depth that they can rely on. Ty Jerome tonight, 12 points, 5 big rebounds from Jerome, and he didn't even play good. He shot 4 of 12 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, which isn't bad, but he still gave you 12 points in 24 minutes. Certain stretches of the game, he was able to help you and raise your floor up. Okoro, I thought played really well, and something that I've had trouble really putting into, showing it in a tangible way. He's been playing well recently, but you look at the box score, it's only 7 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and a steal. Granted, he only played 10 minutes, but I feel like Okoro has really settled into a groove with this team since coming back from that shoulder injury. He shot 3 of 5 from the floor tonight, 1 of 2 from the 3. I just think that he looks like an active member of the offense. This is something that we've talked about for years with Okoro. He's no longer standing in the corner waiting for the ball. He's had multiple plays over the last few games where he catches it, attacks a closeout, kicks it out, and just gets the defense into rotation. It's not leading straight to assists, but he's getting the defense into rotation. He's dribbling the ball. He's putting it on the floor. He's no longer just they're not trying to hide him anymore. He's an active member. And so that's big to me. And I thought that he played really good tonight. Dean Wade, only 11 minutes, 2 points. It was a little bit of cardio Dean tonight, but still.
He was there.
He was out there. But the fact that you can have a game where, all right, Dean, you don't have it tonight. You're only playing 11 minutes. DeAndre Hunter, you're playing 24. Such a huge luxury for this Cavs team. They have an embarrassment of riches. Even Max Strus really was invisible for most of the night. Then he hits 2 big threes down the stretch and gets a couple nice rebounds. So this Cavs team, we didn't even mention Evan Mobley, 16 points, 13 rebounds. You just go down the box score, and they have so many options who can fill in when someone else isn't playing good. And if you just get a couple good stretches from your role players, you end up winning 12 in a row. So do you have any final takes, closing thoughts as we wrap up here?
I'd say something that's not really mentioned as much with great teams is that you are basically the team that everyone circles on their calendar. So you're going to get everyone's best push most nights. And this was a good example of that. An undermanned Miami team gave you their fastball, gave you the best version of a game that they could probably muster with the players that they had available. And even on what you would describe as a okay to below average night from your team, are able to come away with a win. And that just shows that the Cavs, even if they're not, I think fans can get used to people or their team decimating other teams, but wins like this are equally as impressive, not in the sense that you walk away being like, wow, they are just playing a sensational game, but they execute when it's necessary, and that's what elite teams do when every team that goes and plays them is giving it their best effort.
Yeah, 100%. They never let this game get out of their control, even when Miami was throwing some punches. Again, I can't stress enough, Miami played a really good game tonight. All credit in the world to them. They played well on offense. Their defensive game plan definitely took the Cavs by surprise at times, but there's a reason why we're the number one team in the NBA. There's a reason why we've won 12 straight. It's our third double-digit win streak of the season. Yes, they've had some, dog fights recently, but they've managed to pull out the victory each time. And this team just over and over again, picking up wins in the clutch. I don't think it's something that we should overlook because the clutch was not their strong suit in years past. So I know you're saying, oh, well, I wish that we were blowing these teams out or we're winning by a bunch. Or we're not making tiny errors down the stretch, but they're closing games. They're closing games. A win is a win at the end of the day. And how many times last year did we feel like we were in a position to win and then we beat ourselves at the end? Felt like it happened all the time the last 3 years. So the fact that we are overcoming tiny errors and still overall getting the win, it's just a great feeling. And it's been a great season. And I think that's going to do it for this stream. So thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you to everyone who stayed around for the mini post-game pod. I'm hoping to do this after the streams now, just because it's, another way to share our thoughts and get some more content up on YouTube. So thank you for that. The chat is going to get an A++ as always. I'm about to go type the grades. But Corey, it was a great stream. Go Cavs.
Great stream. I agree. Go Cavs.